Lesson 65, writing equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. To begin with, we have to understand that parallel lines are in the same plane and they do not intersect. They are going to have the same slope and different y-intercepts. We have to make sure they're not the same line. So parallel lines have the same slope and different y-intercepts. A lot of times I'll use the two parallel line symbol to represent the word parallel. So we want to know, are these two lines parallel? So here's an example. Are these two lines, we'll just go like this, are they parallel? Just like that. So here's the lines, 2x minus 5y equals 10, and y equals negative 2/5 x plus 10. So I have to solve for y on this side to find my slope. I know that negative 2/5 is the slope on the second line. So I have negative 5y equals negative 2x plus 10. I divide by negative 5 each term, and I have y equals 2/5 x minus 2. So the slope here is 2/5. The slope on the second one was negative 2/5. So the slopes are not the same. They are not parallel. Now sometimes we're asked to write an equation of a parallel line. Before that though, I want to show you this new formula. It's called the slope, let's see, let me think about this. Point slope formula, okay? So the point slope formula for equation of a line. It's y minus y sub 1 equals m parentheses x minus x sub 1. Now m is the slope, and x sub 1, y sub 1, that is a point on the line. So I want to do an example where we are asked to write the equation of a line that is parallel to another line. So here's the example. So we want to write the equation, and we want it in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through the point to negative 4 and is parallel to the line with the equation y equals negative 3x plus 1. So we want to use our point slope formula. So we need a point, which is 2, negative 4. This is going to be our x sub 1, y sub 1. That's a point on the line. We need the slope from the equation of the line that's given, because we want it to be parallel to this line. So the slope is negative 3. Then we use this formula, y minus y sub 1 equals m parentheses x minus x sub 1. So we have y minus, our y sub 1 is negative 4 equals, our slope is negative 3, and we have x minus, and x sub 1 is 2. Now we want our equation in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So basically we have to solve for y. So we're going to simplify first. We have y plus 4, then we're going to distribute the negative 3, And then we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So our equation is y equals negative 3x plus 2. And that's the equation of the line that passes through 2, negative 4, and is parallel to y equals negative 3x plus 1. Now we're going to talk about perpendicular lines. The slope of perpendicular lines are negative reciprocals of each other. So perpendicular lines have slopes that are negative reciprocals. Of each other. If you multiply, oh whoops, I forgot to underline parallel lines. If you multiply the slopes of two lines and you get negative 1, then they will be perpendicular. So let's find out if these lines are perpendicular. Oh, I forgot to tell you the symbol that I use for perpendicular is an upside down capital T. So instead of writing out the word perpendicular, we use this little symbol. So let's see, here's an example. We want to know if these lines are perpendicular. So line 1 goes through 3, 5, and 2, 1. Line 2, that's a 1, goes through these 2 points, 2, 2, and 6, 3. Well, all we have to do is find the slopes. If the slopes are negative reciprocals, then they are perpendicular. So the slope, if you remember the formulas, m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So our first point is x sub 1, y sub 1, and the second one is x sub 2, y sub 2. So we have to plug into our formula. M equals y sub 2 is 1 minus y sub 1 is 5 divided by x sub 2 is 2 and x sub 1 is 3. 1 minus 5 is negative 4 and 2 minus 3 is negative 1. The slope of line 1 is a positive 4. So if the slope of line 2 is a negative 1/4, then they will be perpendicular. So we'll plug it into the formula. We have 3 minus 2, oh, there's my 1. 6 minus 2 is 4, so it's 1/4. Since they are, well, they're reciprocals, but they're not negative reciprocals, so they are not perpendicular. I'm going to do an example like the second example that we did for parallel lines. We want to write the equation of a line that passes through the point 1, 2 and is perpendicular to y equals 1/6 x minus 3. So we're going to use the, oh wait, we want to write it in slope-intercept form. So we're going to use the point slope formula that we learned just today, mx minus x sub 1. So we need a point, x sub 1, y sub 1 is we're going to use the point they gave us, 1, 2. So y sub 1 is 2 and x sub 1 is 1. And then we need to know what the slope is. The slope in the line they gave us is 1/6. We need the opposite reciprocal, or the negative reciprocal, so -6. Notice this is just something for you to take note of. -6 times a 1/6 equals -1. We know that they're going to be perpendicular if the slope of the second line has a -6. So we plug into our formula, y minus 2 equals -6 times x minus 1. we distribute and add 2 to both sides. So we're going to add 2 and distribute. Negative 6x plus 6 plus 2. So y equals negative 6x plus 8. And that's the equation of the line that's perpendicular to the other line. And that's the end of the lesson.